Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the Ladies Only show for the month of May. I'm joined today by my lovely co-hosts. I was going to say that because I think we all share the table pretty well. Teresa, Leah, and Kathy. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
Today we're going to be talking about all things mom, mostly about ourselves and our kids.
Mostly about me. It's all about me.
But we're also going to be talking a little bit about Disney memories with our mothers, if we've ever visited the parks with them. Some of us have, some of us haven't. And just all about mom. So get ready for the tears.
Yeah, really.
Do you have your Kleenexes, Teresa?
I have them.
And I have
mine.
Yes, and I have a huge package too.
I shared with Kathy too. We're all ready.
We're all ready.
When I got here, Teresa handed me one Kleenex. And I was like, that's not going to be enough. I had to bring my own. So first we're going to do a little housekeeping. I think Leah is the only one who has any housekeeping. Am I right?
Yeah, I
Okay,
don't.
so we're going to turn it over to you.
So I have a little plug for the Disneyland edition of the podcast. It comes out on Thursdays, and I've been doing a series of segments. We're going to Disneyland in 2 weeks from yesterday, for the first time. And so I've been talking on there and having the team sort of help me plan and answer any questions that I have and stuff like that. And so tomorrow, I guess today's Wednesday, so tomorrow is the last segment. It's going up before I leave. And so this one is about Downtown Disney and just sort of any final questions that we had about our trip. So if you guys want to listen, and then there'll be a blog up. We can put it, I've never said this, we can put it in the show notes. There'll be a link to some of the future blogs or the past blogs and stuff. And then when we get back, I'm going to do like a wrap-up sort of segment and then a wrap-up blog about our trip. So
Cool.
That'll be up tomorrow. It's been really fun. They've had a lot of good advice for us because we've never been there, so we don't really know much. So it's been kind of fun to get a personalized trip planning service.
Yeah.
So
Are all of you going?
we're all going. The kids don't know yet. It's a surprise.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to tell them, I
Good
think,
Lord.
a couple days before we go. That way we'll be able to pack without having to be completely sneaky.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they'll be super excited. So
Oh, they sure will be.
We'll have a little
Awesome.
castle their size. That's so cute.
No, I'm excited for you guys. I just wasn't sure if you were planning to bring Lydia or not. So I
Yeah.
wanted to ask.
yeah,
I mean,
we are.
Yeah. She's big enough for sure.
Right.
Might be a little tough,
Yep.
but I
Yeah,
think
we're
you'll have
excited.
fun. Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and move into the first part of our show, and we're going to be showing some photos of our moms, grandmas, kids. So we're going in alphabetical order today. So I'm first.
Oh, for once, I'm not at the end of the alphabet.
And usually, I really don't like to start with myself. I like to start with one of you. But we made it easy on Craig today because he had already done this for us.
I think he made this decision. Yeah. We'll talk to him later about that.
Okay, so we're going to start with my photos. The first photo is of my mom, and she's holding Ferris. He was about, this was his first buddy walk, I believe. So he was about
Aw.
10 months old. And
The baby hair.
I know.
That's the
Yeah.
first thing I noticed, the baby hair.
I know. I love that baby hair. I miss it because it was so fun.
It's a
and
different,
soft.
yeah, it's a different hair.
Yeah. My mom was very young when she had me. She was only 19. So both of my parents are very young, which I'm grateful for. I think that having young parents, they then become young grandparents. They're still able to play and run around with, my
Yeah.
kids. But I think that my mom definitely influenced the calmness that I have when it comes to my children. I always thought that I would be more nervous, I guess, when it came to kids and, worried about them getting hurt and stuff. My mother was always really calm and pretty much let us do anything. I mean, she used to practice roping us because she used to rope.
Oh, wow.
Like hog tie?
Like calf roping.
Yeehaw.
Oh, I thought you meant like throw you down and tie your feet.
Oh, no. She would just be practicing roping like a horse or a cow or whatever, and my brother and I would take off running into the yard and she would rope us.
Oh, good Lord.
It didn't hurt and we thought it was
Okay.
so much fun.
Wow. Okay.
I grew up on a farm. We had horses and cows and goats, rabbits, always some sort of different animal around. I think even emus at one point.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so very interesting growing up like that, you know? I don't think most people know that about me, so I'm not afraid to get dirty.
City girl. You seem like a city girl.
Oh, no, I'm not afraid to get dirty, and we usually did. We had free reign pretty much. I mean, as long as we came home to eat, because we lived in such a rural area and had a nice big piece of land, my brother and I would go out for hours. We'd be in the woods playing. We would go crawfishing. I mean, all sorts of fun stuff. So this is my grandmother, my mom's mom.
Which one?
The blonde.
White shirt?
Yeah.
Okay.
The blonde in the white shirt. So this was on one of their trips into Disney. And I believe we were headed to Animal Kingdom. Wait, I'm trying to figure it out.
Can't tell from the parking lot.
I know. I'm looking at it. I'm
Look
like,
at that sign over Grandma's shoulder.
Yeah.
There. That looks like...
I thought it was either Animal Kingdom or Hollywood Studios. But I can't
It's like
tell.
Magic Kingdom.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Is that guy behind you with you?
No, none of those people are with us.
A young grandma, though.
Oh, yes. She was 16 when she had my mom.
Wow.
But she was married at 15.
Wow.
Yeah. I think that it's different, especially even, because of the time period that she was born, but
Yes.
also because of the area, too. I think lots of people got married young, like right out of high
This is
school.
Louisiana.
Yeah. Southern Louisiana. Southeastern Louisiana, I should say.
Cool.
But this grandmother, I think she's the reason that I love makeup and jewelry. She has a very extensive collection of jewelry thanks to my grandfather because that's what he usually gave as gifts. So thanks, Grandma. And she actually was the first person who took us to Disney as a family. They brought everyone, my mom and my current stepdad at the time, me and my brother, and all of her siblings and their families. We stayed at Fort Wilderness in an RV, and we had a pop-up camper. And this is kind of embarrassing for my grandmother, but she was young, and so she wore like bikinis and swimsuits. And I remember her wearing this leopard print bathing suit out to go swimming, and she wanted a photo of herself. And so she went and she got into like the bushes over near the RV, and she was posing in her bathing suit.
The bushes. Do you have that picture?
No, I don't. But it's a really fun memory. And my first memory at Disney with my mom would be running to ride the teacups. It was midnight, and she wanted us to be able to ride them. It was the one thing we hadn't done, and I always remember it like my feet didn't even touch the ground. We were going so fast.
I remember you talking about that.
Yeah. So it was a fun trip. We had a great time, and I also fell in love with Fig McCathy on that trip.
Oh, good.
Yes, I did. I still have it somewhere. It's a little tiny plastic figurine that I brought home. I had a hat, and I think I also had a stuffed animal. But Figment was my Barbie's baby.
Okay. So you had good taste as a young child.
Yes, I did. The next photo, I believe, this is my stepmama. I don't really call her that. Her name is Mama Gay. Her first name is Carolyn, like her mother. So she was Gay, Gaye, her whole life, and now she has become Gigi since she's a grandma.
Oh,
So I call her Gigi a lot now. But this was on my wedding day, obviously.
She looks an awful lot like my mother.
Really? Yeah. Well, weird story. I'm related to her, but not through my dad, through my mom. They're in the same line of birches in the area where I'm from.
It's another Louisiana thing.
Yes,
Right?
it's very strange. Told you I was from a small town. But my dad and my stepmother are not related, just so everyone knows.
Wow.
But she's been around since I was 4 years old, or even before that, because they dated, before they got married. And so she's been around for a long time. I love her very much. And she also gave me 2 more of my fabulous siblings. So
Yeah, cool.
I'll always be thankful for that. I believe that I am neat and organized because of her. She was always, and still is, very neat, very organized, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful to have all my ladies in my family.
Cool.
So this is my other grandmother, my paternal grandma, Mama Jewel. This was 3 months before she died, so she was quite sick then, but she really took a turn for the worst a few months later. This was at my best friend's wedding, also my first cousin. So Mama Jewel was a very lively, free spirit. She loved to dance and sing. She's the reason I love Ray Stevens and Dirty Dancing, if anybody knows who Ray Stevens is.
Yes.
Oh, Lord.
Mississippi Squirrel Revival.
The streak.
Yes.
Walter has that on his iPad. I just had to say that.
I believe that. That's so funny. Look at that. Sorry.
Yep. Yeah.
But so I lived directly on the same piece of land, right at the bottom of the hill, and she lived on the top of the hill. We lived
that's nice.
right on the same piece of land for the first 15 years of my life. And so I have some really great memories of her. We used to run away to her house.
Oh, I did that as a child too.
We would go missing, and my parents would know to call Grandma's house and see if we were up there. She would always come down and bake Rice Krispie treats or brownies.
Yeah.
She'd bring the box in her pan, and she'd come down the hill and do that. She loved to blow bubbles and play outside. We did lots of exploring with her. It was always so fun. One weird thing, though, about my grandmother is she used to burn her trash.
That was an old thing. People used to do that all the time.
Yeah, she would.
Does that make me old? I can remember us doing that.
And I can remember people doing it.
Yeah, my grandma did that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, until the day she died.
She burned her trash.
That's
no evidence. That's good.
I'm like, what were you hiding?
That's what you did. You had a burn barrel
just,
on the alley usually or something.
Well, she didn't have a barrel. It was just like a spot out in the backyard. I mean, way away from the house, but
like a wire basket, tall wire basket that you put your stuff in and burned it.
Wow. Everybody had their own technique of.
yeah.
Interesting.
But so she always took care of us when we were sick from school because she was always right there.
Home. Yeah. Yeah. My grandma did that too.
Yep. I miss her. She died in July of 2005, so it's been a while ago.
We had her a good long time though.
We
so
did.
That's good.
I sure did. So, and I think next this is when I became a mommy. I did not get to hold Ferris after he came out. He was having trouble breathing, and the cord had been wrapped around his neck, so they took him immediately, cleaned him up and everything. Corey held him first.
Looks like a little bean all wrapped up.
Yeah.
He weighed 6 pounds and 11 ounces. So January 5th, 2009.
They're tiny babies.
It's my mommy photo.
Oh, you look good.
Thanks.
I look like crap in that photo they took of me.
And I had just finished pushing him out.
I don't think I had. I know I don't have any pictures of me having the kids.
I've got
they didn't
one.
do that.
I've got one. Max looked like Hitler.
Oh.
It's like, holy crap, it's Hitler. I birthed Hitler. It was horrible. I was like, why did I do this? Why did I have this child?
We had amazing nurses with both of our births, and this one nurse, I actually have a very graphic photo of Ferris after he had come out.
Oh, really?
Corey edited it. I don't have it. I'm not going to show it, but it's really cool though to have that because I was not into the whole filming of the birth.
Oh, you didn't have the mirror?
No, they asked. I was like, no, Corey can watch.
I can remember the mirror being there, and I'm thinking, holy crap, take that away, because that's going to make me stop, and I'm not going to do any. I'm just going to sit here and go, that ain't going to happen.
There was enough reflection in the window for me.
The sheer terror on Kelvin's face was enough for me. It's like, oh, okay, I don't need to see it if he's.
They didn't do the mirror with Danny, and I didn't know why, and it was because he had gulped some of the fluid on the way out, and they weren't sure what was going to happen.
Oh, wow.
When he came out. But, you're so in the moment, you're not thinking that. I'm just thinking, and then afterwards they said, well, hey, this is why. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
it's
had
funny.
C-sections, and they asked if I wanted to watch, and I thought, no.
Oh, my
I don't
God.
want to see
No,
inside of myself.
You don't want to see yourself cut open. No,
You had all C-sections.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, all 3 of them.
And they wanted you to watch. That's bizarre.
Well, they asked if I wanted to. They asked if Dave wanted to watch, and he can't. He's been diabetic for 31 years, and he cannot handle blood. And so he just, was like, oh my gosh, no, I don't want to watch. They actually had to put oxygen on him. They took oxygen off of me and
that's
put it
so
on him
funny.
because they thought he was going to pass out. And so then he saw some blood splatter up on the little sheet that was covering my stomach, so we couldn't see it, and that was it. He was just about gone.
Oh my God.
They brought him a stool and some oxygen.
Oh my God. I remember Kelvin sitting there going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, just like repeatedly. And finally I remember saying, shut up.
Oh, see, Corey,
I'm trying to concentrate.
He was a fabulous coach, I have to say. Like, he was so excited. I mean, he was holding one leg. The nurse was like, okay, you're on
Really?
this side, I'm on this side, Dad. This is your job. And he's like, I can see him. He's just like, he's
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Now, with Grace, I had a midwife, and Kelvin sat there and watched Ellen on TV while it was my birthday. I remember that. Like, trying to shush me,
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I remember that vividly. I remember thinking, okay.
It's funny that you say that. Like, you're like, oh, you look so good, so calm. My mom, I'd always promised her when I had my first baby that, because I'm her only daughter. I'm like, if you want to see a child come into this world, I'm like, you're more than welcome to be in the room, too.
Yeah.
And I made sure that Corey was okay with that. Well, she flew in with Corey's mom and dad, and they got to the hospital, and my mom got into the room, and as soon as she walked into the room, Ferris came out.
Oh,
Wow.
It was the
Perfect
last
timing.
push. She saw him come out.
Yeah.
And she looks over at me when she comes in. She goes, "You're so calm. Why are you so calm?" And I was like, I don't know. I'm like, am I not supposed, am I not supposed to be?
Well, sometimes when you see those ones on TV and they're like carrying on and all this kind of stuff, and I can remember when I had my 3 kids, the one time the nurse went, "You guys are so calm." Same thing, because Fran and I just looked at each other and said, "Good job, bud."
Yeah.
And like we do this all the time.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't know what they expected us to do, but you know.
Isn't that weird? I remember vividly with Max, obviously never having a child before. Calvin took me to the hospital 3 different times within the labor, and they kept sending me home. "You're not ready. You're not ready." Well, by the 3rd time, I said, "Okay, this is it, honey. You got to take me to the hospital." And when he took me, he said, "We're not being sent home again." I said, "No, I'm pretty sure we're not going to be sent home this time." And we got in the hospital, and all 3 times I went, there was a woman down the hall screaming her head off. And after I had Max, she was still down the hall screaming her head off. And I'm going, what is going on down there that, just have the thing? I mean, obviously she had it, but I don't think I ever screamed once. There was
They even told me, they were like, it won't help. If you scream when you're pushing, it doesn't help anything.
Right.
More than anything, it scares everybody else on the floor.
Really? Or cursing or,
Yeah. No, it was
just get it done. And,
it was a very calm,
give me my little
relaxing
ugly
birth.
child and I'll move on.
Yeah, I think the worst memory I have, though, is when Anna came and I had just started really having bad contractions and I hadn't had my epidural yet. And she's like, "Can I watch The Bachelor?" I was like, "Seriously?" And I said, "Fine, but keep it on mute."
Oh, my God. When I had Stella, Kelvin had, his friend had called, and I was in the middle of heavy labor, and his friend wanted to hear over the phone. I'm like, nah, that's kind of
Really?
creepy. I don't know. Yeah. It kind of creeped me out. But,
I just
Are you
remember
still friends with that person?
yeah, he's got kids of his own now. He just wanted to know what the experience was like, I guess.
with my first one, Chrissy was laying sideways, and I was saying she was in there trying to read Gone with the Wind, and she wasn't
wasn't
ready.
coming out.
She wasn't ready to come out. And I can remember Fran, my husband, sitting there reading an old car magazine and eating a Braunschweiger with onion sandwich.
Oh, good
That
Lord.
The smell was just enough to like knock your socks off. And he's there like eating, like, "Hey, how's it going?" And they were bringing people in because they'd never seen like the baby laying this way, because this was like before they did all the ultrasounds and
Yeah.
things like that. I swear they were selling tickets out in the hallway, and then he's like, "Oh, are you ready for me now?" And it's like, "Okay,
Really?
let's go do this."
I'm up here.
Yeah.
I don't need to show an audience, but that's a beautiful picture.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites for sure. So
Corey's got his hat on.
he even has my bobby pin on his hat because I had a bobby
Aw.
pin in my hair, like holding it back. And I guess eventually at some point it came out and he put it on his hat. So I think the next picture is just Ferris. Okay, this is just my favorite photo ever of Ferris. He was 11 months old, I believe, approximately there. I mean, it just doesn't get any cuter.
Holding technology. What is that he's holding?
He's holding a little flat disc with a picture of a duck on one side and a frog on the other.
Okay.
Aw.
That's sweet.
I think the next picture is Ferris too, and this is more recent. I think this was Magic Kingdom, right after, like maybe in February. But I just like
He's
his little
growing up.
pose,
Yeah.
and you can see he's looking ahead. He's trying to decide whether or not he's going to run or stay with us. I think there's one more of him, and it's just he and I, and it's from our cruise in December.
All laid back.
My boy. Oh yeah.
Don't you love the way that from the time they're born, they're just little helpless little beans to
To now, he's
now,
telling me,
yeah.
"No way, Mom. No way." That's
Oh, wait.
his newest phrase is "no way."
wait, it's like,
Aw.
can you take me to the liquor store? I just turned of age and I want something to drink. No way, no way.
Or it gets better. I says, like, now my son is taking his son to the
That
parks.
makes me weep. I don't even want to think about that.
Yes,
that part.
and you're thinking like, I can remember it was just like yesterday when I took my son, and now here he's taking
Yeah.
his son.
Yeah. Both children, their first time in the parks was Flower and Garden at Epcot.
Oh, wow.
And on Ferris's first visit, we were in the UK, and I had just finished feeding him over in the band area. It was quiet; there was no band playing yet. And I went to the bathroom to change him. And when I walked in, there was a mother in the bathroom with her adult son that had Down syndrome. Ferris was 2 months old, and I
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was like bam. It's like, hi, this is your future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Except
a moment,
I hope
though.
to not be taking my adult son into the ladies' bathroom. So
Yeah. You'll
know.
you'll tweak that a little
yes,
bit.
I will. I think I'll tweak that just a tad. As it is, he doesn't want to go to the bathroom anyway. So
Really? It's a whole nother show.
Yeah. I think exactly. I think Finley's next though.
Is this where is
These
this?
are just some of my favorite photos of her. This was at Gaylord Palms. This was
moments
2
before.
Christmases ago. No,
Not this isn't
this
the one.
was the same Christmas where she fell in the koi pond, but this was way before it. And Corey's like, smile, and she's like, but it just shows her personality.
Oh, it
That's
does.
her, for sure. I think next is her and I. Yeah, this was this Halloween at Magic Kingdom. She loves to dress up. Let me tell you.
Is that her collection?
Yes, it is. That's what she calls her scepter.
Her scepter.
When she gets dressed, I need my collection and my dress and my crown. And today she told me, I need a lot of princess necklaces, Mom.
Aww.
And she called me Your Majesty when I left. Let's see. I think the last one, this was her birthday this year. Should we finish blowing out the candles? And she looked at me and she goes, can I bite it? I said, it's your cake, babe.
Yep.
And so there she is taking a bite of her
Classic
Merida
picture.
cake.
Yeah.
And we just ate from the other side.
Yep. Well, you do.
That works.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she wanted a princess theme, but Merida cake. And they don't include Merida in the general princess theme, like as far as birthday supplies. So
Maybe now that she's going to be the official princess.
she'll start being in that merchandise. I hope so. But that's all for me. So we're going to move on to...
Kathy.
Do we know our alphabet?
Yeah, I had some other ones, and due to technology, they didn't get uploaded or something, but I'll post the rest of them on Facebook. But this picture rendered Teresa speechless.
We were talking on the phone, and I pulled up Facebook, and I saw that, and I just went totally, I couldn't speak. I was trying to figure out who the family was at first that you put. And I saw Katie was the first one I recognized in her hammer pants.
Katie to this day still talks about those pants. She loved those pants. And Chrissy, my oldest there on the right, this was her 13th birthday. We had gone to a wedding. She had gone to SeaWorld in Ohio that day, and we were leaving for vacation that night. So my brother-in-law was the photographer at the wedding, so he took our picture. That's my husband. And as I was looking at that picture, it reminded me when I married him, he was about 5 inches taller than I was.
Wow. So
And-
you grew.
No.
He shrunk.
No, he had asthma really bad, and he was taking cortisone, and it collapsed the
compressing.
vertebrae in his
my
back, and he
gosh.
lost like 5 inches. And I said, I had forgotten that we had pictures that showed that, and this is one of them. And I said, Katie, you can tell Katie still does the goofy faces to this day. You just always knew Katie was up to no good. Katie was always into something, and this picture shows it. But
That's funny.
this is we hadn't been to Disney. I never got to go to Disney with my family. My mother, the only thing I knew about Florida was it's really hot there in the summertime. And I don't know why people would ever want to go there. And I just had pictures of, how you can see the heat rising up from the asphalt and almost like tumbleweeds going down the street because nobody went to Florida in the summertime. So it wasn't until after my mother died that I ever came to Florida for the first time. And I just had my mother's image of what Florida must be like. And I'm glad I came. I'm glad I didn't, let that stop
Heed her warning.
Yeah. But I says, no, I know my parents would have loved living here in Florida. So that's that. We can move to the next one.
This one kills me. This one absolutely kills me.
And yes, as a mother, I'm allowed to embarrass my children. Yes, that is Katie in the communion outfit, because Katie goes, oh, you're showing that picture too? But that's my mother
Right behind her.
behind her. That's, of course, me. That's my 2 sisters. That's my sister Carrie on the right and my sister Kim. That's my baby sister on the left. There's 6 years between my baby sister and I. And my niece Sam and my oldest daughter Chrissy. This was in our backyard in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
But you can see I didn't get the height.
You didn't. Oh, my God.
Is your dad short? Was he short?
No, my dad was as tall. My dad was taller than them.
Wow.
So, as I always said, I got the brains, they got the height. And they didn't want to hear that. And when I first met my husband, my hair was almost like a platinum blonde color. And he goes, I think if we're going to get serious, you're going to need to not dye your hair. And that's probably the only concession I ever made in my married life, because I always thought of myself as like a feminist, even being married, that I'm not going to let a guy tell me what I can and can't do. But I didn't dye my hair for the whole time that I was married to Fran. And then, after he passed, and I'm like, well, it's time for a new me, I went back to having blonde.
You seem like a natural blonde to me. That's why I couldn't figure out who this woman was.
I know.
Yeah.
I have pictures of me that I did have like light blonde hair, but I always gave my sisters heck for, why would you ever want to dye your hair? And now they've gone more back to their natural color, and I'm the blonde. So you just, I just always say you just never know.
Yeah.
So
never say never.
No. But I said this was one of the few pictures I have that were all in it, because I was usually the one that was taking the pictures. So we can move to the next one. And this is my son, and now he can hate me too. And if you notice me up in the back, that's me with a permanent in my hair. That wasn't as bad as the time I had blonde hair and had a perm that I looked like little Orphan Annie.
Oh my gosh.
That people fell down laughing because my hair looked so bad.
That's a tight curl, huh?
Yes, it was really bad. But
is that Katie?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's Katie.
She looks the same.
Yeah.
Yes, she does.
Looks like she's getting ready to smack him, or she's ticked off.
Looks like she just ate a piece of cake. See her spoon and her plate over there?
It could have been. And I'm sure,
Danny's little patriotic sweater.
Yeah, and I'm like trying to smile. Like it's like one of those mother moments, like you want to yell at your kid, but you think it's funny at the same time.
Yeah, I have those.
But
I still have those.
I said I've enjoyed being a mom. I've said this before, I'll say it again, that if it hadn't been for my 3 kids after Fran died,
Yeah.
I couldn't have made it through. That I said that we all, bonded even more as a family, because we knew we only had each other to get through what we had to get through. And I said they all had their moments where, they weren't sure how the world was going to be and how things were going to be. And I can remember, I said, and I've told this story before, but I said, when I took them to Disney, I said that first time, I didn't want to be at Disney. I thought it was mind controlling. I thought they put something in the water. And back in those days, I really did believe that that's what they did. Now I know better.
You drank their water, but no.
Yes, I did. And it took like a couple days. And then all of a sudden, I started to get Disney. So in my world, I'm there like, see?
It is in the water. Then.
Yes, there's something that they do. And I said how wonderful it was that we could come to a place that my kids could go back to being kids.
Yeah.
You really could see the difference in them, that they had the weight of the world on their shoulders, and we got to Disney. And we were expecting, I know Craig knows Kennywood in Pittsburgh. I thought Disney was like a Kennywood, and Kennywood is like a really cool amusement park. But when we came to Disney, it's like, wow, this is,
it's a whole other place.
This is really cool. But as we were getting ready for this segment, and I think you all know I'm a photographer. I like to take pictures. But when we started the challenge of trying to get healthier, I found this blog, and I just wanted to read little bits of it, because I said I think it sort of sums up how we all are about taking pictures. And I know as a mother, you want to look a certain way in the pictures. And I can remember my mother always going, like putting her hand up in front of her face, and they'd go like, oh, Mrs. Luxbacher, how's, things today? And she'd go, no, don't take my picture. But I found this article, and it says, I'm going to just read parts of it. Listen, I hear you. You're a few pounds heavier than you'd like, or 100 pounds heavier than you'd like. I completely understand how you feel. I get that same blah feeling about myself when I think about booking new headshots or long overdue pictures of me and her husband. And she goes down, and how most mothers don't want to be in the pictures. And she says, so here's the harsh truth, y'all. Listen good. Our vanity is no longer enough of a reason to avoid the camera. Life doesn't wait until you get thin enough to capture it. Life is happening. It is happening right now, and the only moment we are guaranteed is the one we are living. I shudder at the thought of leaving behind no pictures of my life with me in it. My mother says of the accident, this lady had had an accident, And she says she's just glad that we're still a whole family. And so her gift to her mother was a family portrait showing everybody in it. And she goes on to say, and this is the last I'm going to say about it, but can we agree to put the value of family over the value of fat? Can we just accept that the weight you've been trying to lose for 5 years might actually be just a part of what you look like? And that if this magical day does come when you're acceptable thin, you'll still regret not having any pictures of you with your kids from ages 5 to 10. Can we acknowledge that the insecurities we have in our head, will never be a part of how our children, husbands, and friends see us? Can we just please let our loved ones remember the you they love? So,
Thanks, Kathy.
I'm sorry.
I've already read that, but wow, it's true.
It is.
My gosh.
It is, and it's, I know I'm in pictures with my family, but when we were doing this whole segment, it made me realize I'm not in enough pictures with my family, and there's been times that I've had to guilt them into getting that picture, but I want to start doing that more often.
Guilting them more? Oh, definitely.
Well, guilting or whatever it takes, because I know, when I'm not around, my kids are going to want to see the pictures of their mom. And if there's not a whole lot of them out there, what a great way. I mean, we're all sharing memories of our loved ones. And if you don't have the pictures, so take lots of pictures, folks. So that's my segment.
Okay. It's funny that you say that because it's the opposite in our house. I don't
Your
really.
house now.
Yeah, my house now. Corey is more. Look, my double chin is showing, or whatever he thinks, because I think it's worse for him than it is for me.
He's approved every picture I've ever taken. Let me look at that.
Yep. Yes.
And he's deleted.
And his sister is exactly the same way.
Wow.
I don't want like a boogie hanging out of my nose or anything in a photo, but I don't really have a problem.
Hanger at our
and
house.
It's not even about weight for me. I mean, obviously, I don't have an issue with that, but it's. Even if there's no makeup, even if I'm making a weird face, because like you said, it's the memory that's worth it. Yeah. And I learned that with Taylor, with her coming and learning to be silly in photos and just having a good time. My dad doesn't like to smile in photos. He thinks it's not natural. So getting
oh my gosh.
He says, he's like, well, I'm not just walking around smiling all the time like a goober. I'm like, well, Dad, we'd like you to look happy at least.
Yeah, really. But it's a Victorian
So what you have to do, and Corey has learned this over the years, is he makes him laugh before he takes a photo of us. And it's so nice to get that genuine. If it's genuine, it's okay with him. But he's not going to force and fake a smile.
Yeah. But it says nowadays with digital cameras, there's no excuse why you can't have pictures. I could understand back when I can remember thinking like, was that film worthy to go take the picture? But now take loads of pictures. I know I do now, but there's a lot that I'm not in. So if you get the chance, just take lots of pictures, because someday somebody will appreciate looking at those pictures. And as a photographer, remember to back them up so you don't lose them. That's my tip for the day.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So, Leah, are you ready?
I'm ready. Okay. I can't see the pictures, so there we go. Okay. This is my 4th birthday party. This is my mom on the right, and then my dad's mom on the left. And this is a favorite memory that all of us grandkids have with my grandma. She made a checkerboard cake for every one of our birthdays. Oh, wow. And we always got to pick if we wanted chocolate or pink. I don't know what flavor the pink was, but I don't know if you guys have ever had one, but it's like a 3-layer cake that when you cut it open, it looks like a checkerboard. And so that was kind of a special thing that we all got to pick. My grandma and grandpa, I've actually been fortunate to live near my family my entire life. And we see my grandma and grandpa every single Sunday after church. We go to McDonald's, and it used to be Burger King, and then grandma changed her mind, so now we go to McDonald's. But every Sunday, my parents, my brother, if he's home, he lives in St. Louis, my sister, if she's home from college, my family, and then my dad's sister and her whole family. And so we sort of have a corner of the restaurant that we've commandeered, and like people know, like if they see us coming, they know, oh, that's where they sit. And so like people will move out of the way for us to sit. And they're actually building a new McDonald's down the street, and so we've been
in
joking
honor
about,
of your family,
if they're going to get like a plaque on the seat.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That's where my grandparents sit.
They are VIPs at McDonald's. I love it.
They are. Well, they eat there 4 days a week for lunch.
Wow.
Yeah, so people know us when we walk in. So
your grandma looks like Julia Child.
What?
Your grandma looks like
does.
Julia Child standing there.
She does. She doesn't look like that as much anymore. She's lost tons of weight, and so she looks a lot different. But anyway, so that's my grandma and my mom. My mom's pretty hair from the early 80s. So
We all had that hair.
Mama Gay used to wear those exact same glasses.
My mom still does.
No joke.
I think everybody's mom in the 80s wore those glasses. So this is my parents in 2009. This is at my brother's wedding, and I think my parents are the cutest people ever. They are completely in love, and my mom, she told me I need to tell a nice story about her, because on the last podcast I said how she made me eat sauerkraut for breakfast.
Oh yeah.
She said, Leah, people from all over the world listen to this show. They're going to think I'm a horrible mom. So make sure you tell lots of good stuff about me. But anyway, this is true, and I'm not making it up. So these are my parents at my brother's wedding, and what I love about my parents is that they are so in love. They met in high school, and my mom, I think it was in like middle school, had made up that she had this boyfriend, because like her friends, had their little fake boyfriends, and so she had told everybody that she had this boyfriend named David who had blonde hair. Well, she didn't know my dad, but anyway, when she met my dad, his name is David, and he had blonde hair.
Oh, wow.
So it's just kind of fun that that's who she actually ended up meeting.
Wow.
So, yeah, so they started dating when she was a sophomore, I think, and then he was a senior in high school, and so they've been together ever since. They dated for, I think, 4 years, and then they got married when she was in college, right after he graduated college. So, but they're always like, they hold hands when they walk, and we would always catch them kissing in the kitchen or something, and so
That's so sweet.
he sends flowers and writes little notes to her, and she said, well, I think your dad is so cute. She'd always tell us that she thought he was a stud muffin. And we were just like, that's weird, because it was just embarrassing, when you're a kid. But she said, well, I need a picture of him. So she made me set up this photo shoot, and I had to go take pictures of my dad so then she could have a photo of him on her desk at school. So
That's so cute.
So they're very cute.
Sweet.
Yes. So those are my parents.
Oh, there's your
And
sister.
this one is another picture of my mom, and this is my sister. She is almost 11 years younger than me. And so I didn't want her when I found out she was coming, because I was so used to life with just me and my brother. So, but now she's one of my best friends. And so that's why I have this picture up here. My mom and my sister are my best friends. And so this is us this past summer. We went to St. Louis, and it was like 105 degrees. And we went to an outdoor theater and watched a play. We look very nice here, but this is in the beginning before we started dripping with sweat. So it was a fun show, but it was awful. But we do a girls' trip whenever we can. Now that I've started having kids, it's a little bit more difficult, but we try every summer to go on a girls' trip and go do something fun for the weekend, or, however long we can get away. So,
Yeah, you and I are in the same boat with the sister thing, except I desperately wanted a sister because I had two brothers. And I was like, I need somebody, on my level. But I didn't get mine until I was 17.
yeah.
So, but now it's really nice because she's my best friend. Like we can talk about everything, and it's so nice that she doesn't view me as sort of another mom, because she could,
Yeah.
But I don't treat her that way. I treat her like my sister. And she just turned 16 and got her license 2 days ago. So,
Oh, man.
but anyway, I think it's funny that you didn't want her.
Well, you know why? It was my brother's less than 2 years younger than me, and so I was so used to just having a brother, and it had been us for 11 years, and my mom started like questioning me. I remember being in like J.C. Penney's or something, and she kept asking, well, what do you think about having a baby? What do you think? Would that be okay? And I was just like, no, we're not having a baby. I'm 10 years old. Like, you can't have more kids. That's weird. And
That's weird.
well, it's just you're so used to your life with my one sibling. And then I remember we were in the family room, and my parents called us in, and they said, well, we have something to tell you. And I just knew that's what it was. And I started counting the months, and I was like, oh gosh, they're going to tell us that they're having a baby. And I think really what our main problem was that I didn't want to share my room. And my brother didn't want to share his room. And so when we found out it was a girl, I was like, oh, I have to share my room. Because, I'm 10 years old, and all of a sudden I have a crib in my room. And
Grace had that same problem because she was 8 when Stella came along, and really ticked off that she had to share that room with a crib and a bald, ugly baby. I mean, it was not good.
Yeah, so now I like her. So, Becca, I'm glad that you're here. 'Cause I'm sure So
Leah's being so nice to all of her relatives. She's not going to have to go home and say, I'm sorry.
Yeah, really.
well, I know they're going to watch this. So, and I asked my mom, and she'll yell at me. I said, so what do you think I should say about you? Is there some really nice story? So she wrote me this text that was all about, well, tell them that I'm beautiful and that I love to do crafts and tell them all these things and that I'm very humble.
Oh my gosh.
So
You
yes.
told a night. I would ask Mom. I would say, Mom, is there any dirt I can tell them?
Any dirt.
Well,
Any hidden
so I
secrets?
replied and I said, oh, so I shouldn't tell them about when you locked us in the closet and you used to, and then I had to write, just kidding, because she'll freak out and think that, because obviously that didn't happen. But
Yes, it did.
So we'll see what text I get after school after she reads that today. So the next picture is me reading with all my kids. There's Lydia, Jacob, and Jonah. And this is actually a book from when I was a kid.
I can tell.
So my mom is a librarian, and so they have tons and tons of books. And so Jonah went over to their house. They live just 10 minutes from us. And he brought home a gigantic grocery bag with like 25 books. And he said, this is from the Grandpa Library, so we have to read all of these.
Aww.
And so that's one of the books that was my favorite as a kid. And so it's kind of fun that we have a picture of me reading it to them. So we read a lot every day. Every day before nap time, I read a book to Jonah and Lydia. So that's what that picture's all about. That's something that I really remember about my parents, because my mom's a librarian. And she's right now she's a junior high librarian. She was an elementary school librarian when I was a kid. And so reading books has always been very important to us. Like she would bring home all the books before she put them in her library, and then my brother and I would sort of test them, and tell her if we thought the kids would like them or not. But my dad, when we were babies, just a couple months old, he would sit on the couch with us with a huge stack of books and read to us for like an hour every day. And, I think now when I think about it, it's kind of like, well, that's kind of weird, but he was instilling that love of learning and reading in us, and that's something I'm grateful for, because now I read whenever I have time. When I was growing up, I'd always have a couple books started at a time. I would walk home from school reading a book while I was walking, so I love to read. So that's what I like about that picture. This one, this is me and my brother at our old house, and my mom stayed at home. She went to work, I think, when I was in like kindergarten, and she was a school librarian and just worked part-time. And so she was always around, and so we did lots of fun activities and stuff. Here we had turned big boxes into a TV. I think those are styrofoam cups or something on there for the channel, the buttons and everything, and we're doing TV commercials. And so that's my brother there. He looks exactly like Jonah, so that's kind of funny to see pictures of him. We just found one of Seth wearing this detective hat that Jonah actually has taken from my parents' house now. And it's so funny to see the two of them in these pictures, because they look exactly alike wearing this gigantic hat. So anyway, so my mom did lots of fun little crafty things, and we were always playing, and I have lots of memories of us playing all the time and just doing things like this. So I think I'm advertising handy snacks there, which I still enjoy. So
Handy snacks?
I think that's what they are. I don't know what
It
Seth
does
has.
look like handy
can
snacks.
of tomatoes or
It's
something?
a can of like Rotel tomatoes and maybe condensed milk or something.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd love to know what he said about the condensed milk to try to sell that to somebody.
Wow. That's an awesome picture.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to her next video.
Yeah. Yep, what's next?
Aw.
Okay, so these are my weird children. I have strange children. I love to see the funny, weird things that they come up with. Lydia, obviously, is on the left. She loves to dress up. She would wear an outfit like this every day if we let her.
Why don't you let her?
Well, she does. I mean, a lot of times. But I'm saying, like, the fur coat, like right now it's 80 degrees outside. She'd be kind of hot in the fur coat. She did last week wear her pink cowboy boots when it was really hot, and she finally had to take them off because her feet were so sweaty and swollen that she could barely get them off. But I like to see how fancy and just, she just loves to dress up like this. And so she will, most days, she has on a tutu at some point during the day and random necklaces and whatever else she can find. So the other picture on the right is Jonah. I'm giving him a backwards piggy, is what we call it. He's in preschool, and so he's still home. And so every day for nap time, I give him a piggyback ride to his bed after we read our book. And so he calls it a piggy. And so this day I backed up to the couch for him to hop on, and he climbed on backwards. And I was just like, what in the world are you doing? This feels really strange. But so anyway, that's Jonah and his backwards piggy, which he thinks is hysterical. And anyway, then I have to roll him into his bed. And now Lydia has discovered the piggy. And so now I have to give both of them a piggy to nap every day. So the last one is from Jacob. He was in timeout, and so I put him in the bathroom thinking that there would be nothing to do in there. And while he was in there, he took off his Crocs, hung them from the faucet, and made his own little water fountain. So they just tend to do a lot of weird things like that. They come up with a lot of weird sayings, and they're funny kids. Like yesterday, Jonah asked me if Darth Vader had a hiney. I said, well, he was a human, so probably. I guess he was a human. I don't know. He was a person.
He was at one time. Right.
So
mostly.
Anyway, just a lot of funny things like that. My kids make me laugh.
That's the cool thing about kids, though, Leah, is the weird, funny things they do. I think that's the best part for me.
Finley's a booty kisser, literally. She'll run up behind me. She'll kiss my booty, and she'll say, "I kissed your booty."
Aw,
I'm like, Finley.
That's really cute at this age.
It is. I'm like,
when she's crawling up to you, doing it when she's 15, that's gonna be a little creepy. But.
Okay. Does Leah have more photos? Because we're only like 15 minutes left. Is it, I don't know if it's okay if we go over our hour. Oh, okay, good.
We can?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have a couple more.
All right, go ahead, Leah.
This is my mom on the top left, and back to the pretty hair again. And her mom on the right, and then sitting down is my grandma's mom, so my great-grandma. And I'm sitting on her lap, sleeping. And then it's my cousin is next to us there.
What year is this?
I probably looked 3 or 4, so 1983, 1984, something like that. But like I said, my whole family has always lived close. And so my mom's mom, we would see her probably every day. She lived in the same town. Well, they both lived in the same town as us. But like whenever the days that my mom did work, my grandma would come over after school, or we'd go to her house or whatever. And so we were very close with everybody in my family, but very close with my grandma. We saw her all the time. And then she died in 95, I think. She had breast cancer. And then her mom also lived in the same town, and so we saw her a lot, and we always had all of our holidays and stuff at her house. And she died in 95 also, just a few months after her daughter, my grandma did. So, yeah. And you can flip to the next picture. I'm not sure what it is. Okay. This is my mom up in the top left when she had me. So I didn't remember ever seeing this picture, so it was kind of fun to find this picture of my mom. And then I have pictures of me and my 3 kids, and I do not look as good because I had a C-section, and they do not let you wear makeup or anything.
I didn't wear makeup.
Well, but I'm saying if I had just gone into labor, I would have put on makeup.
You would have? Well,
yeah.
That's so funny.
With Jonah, my water broke in the middle of the night, and I hadn't, I took a shower that morning. And so I literally said, wait, do you think can I take a shower before we go to the hospital and get ready? And Dave said, no, I think we need to go to the hospital. Your water just broke. But I just thought, oh, they're not going to let me out of bed for 24 hours. I need to take a shower. I'm just going to feel disgusting. So anyway, but those are the 3 pictures. Not exactly right when I first met the kids, because this is back in the room, but
right.
I'm laying there. I had C-sections with all of them. Jacob was breech, and the cord was around his neck. So I had to have a C-section the first time. And so I always have to lay in the bed to meet the children. But
I'm just curious for my own personal, did they offer to let you have a vaginal birth with your second child? Did they offer that to you? I'm just curious.
Not at our hospital, because it's too small. Okay. They have to carry a lot of insurance to do that, and then the entire surgery staff has to stay in the hospital the entire time you're in labor. And our hospital wasn't able to do that. And I actually loved having C-sections. With Jacob, I thought, oh, I'm missing out. I'm not going to be a real woman. I should experience birth. But, oh my goodness, it's so nice to know when you're having the child and you just go in and lay there and they do everything for you. And
that would be nice.
I actually recover very well from surgery. I was out of the hospital after 2 days with all of them. And so I think some people probably have it worse than me, but I really didn't mind having my C-sections. And, now, and because I never had contractions or anything, so I've not experienced I sort of felt the very beginnings of some. But so Dave just a couple days ago said, so, are you still sad that you didn't get to have labor? I'm like, no, I'm not sad. It was really nice to just, be done with it quickly.
I was just curious because I have a girlfriend that her baby, because of complications, had to be done C-section, the first baby. But her second baby, they told her could be delivered however she wanted, if it was possible, if he wasn't breech or whatever. And she did, so she has had both. And she prefers the C-section.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm terrified of being sliced open and pulling the child.
I have to say that. And my best girlfriend, she had her daughter in 2007, and I went and spent 9 days with her from the time she had the baby until, that 9th day, and I left. Her recovery from that C-section was horrific. I mean, I had to do everything for her. She was in so much pain.
Wow.
And her scar, according to our nurse friend, was much bigger than any typical woman should have.
Like they
We measured it. Like her scar was 8 to 9 inches across, where most C-section scars are like 3 to 4 inches. I've heard.
Did you have a butcher or what? What was that about?
I don't know. I don't know why.
Y'all
it was
had
so big. Yes.
Y'all had natural births?
Yeah.
Well,
Did you have epidurals?
Yes, I did.
The first one I did because they knew that they were going to have to manipulate.
Oh, yeah, because she was sideways.
See, I never had epidurals. There were no drugs involved because I was terrified of drugs and being cut open.
Oh, really?
And I kept telling myself, okay, women have been doing this for thousands of years in the back of a cave or whatever. I can man up and do this with that. And I was fine. But up until with Max, it was fine. And with the second, with Grace, I had a midwife, and I remember thinking, okay, this isn't bad. I'm in labor. And then Kelvin kept looking at me, and I remember thinking, okay, this is getting more painful. Then when the real labor kicked in, I remembered, holy crap, this did get more painful at the end. But I worked my way through it. But I was more terrified of the needles and the.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The first time, with the epidural, I was scared just because of the whole process and what they, you can't move. You're having contractions, and they're like, don't move. And I'm like, oh, my God.
In the C-section, like the first time, I think I would be scared because you don't know what's happening. But by the second or third one, did it get easier? Like you knew what to expect?
Yeah, I was really nervous the first time. Now, we knew that we were having it. We had a plan. So, we went into the hospital and knew that we were having the baby in 2 hours. And so I was scared. But what I actually really liked about it is I'd never had surgery or anything. And so for my first surgery, I got to be awake. And so I kind of got to pay attention and see what was happening. And then also David got to be in there. And so it wasn't quite as nerve-wracking. So I thought, then in the future, if I have to have surgery, at least I know what was happening.
Yeah.
I also worked at the hospital, and so I was friends with all the nurses. And that was really good because I had a couple of them. Each time I had one that would, sort of hold on to me during it's not called an epidural, but whatever they put in your back to numb you. And she hugged me and would hold on to me while they did that so I didn't move. Or I had somebody hold my hand. And so it was nice. It wasn't just random strangers being there. And so for me, for all 3 kids, I worked there. And so that was really nice to have that personal experience for me.
And the second and third one, you would be able to schedule it because I know, your first one, it's like you don't have to worry about who's going to watch your other kids while you go off to the hospital.
Oh,
right. Now, see, Jonah was 3 weeks early in the middle of the night, so we had him scheduled, but then it was kind of random. And so, but I don't really remember being nervous because I had been there before and I knew what happened. And then with Lydia, I really wasn't nervous at all. So I'd done it. Jacob, I think you guys probably know this, but probably people that listen to us don't know. Jacob actually had a stroke before he was born. He's our oldest. He's 7. And that's one of the reasons why I had the first C-section. We knew that he was breached. The cord was around his neck twice. And so they asked us if we wanted to try to flip him. They can manually turn the baby. But we had prayed about it and we said we need some kind of clear sign that we should or we should not do this. It's called version, turning him. And so then we did this ultrasound and we found out the cord was around his neck. And so we said, okay, thank you, Lord. There's the answer to our prayers, that now we know that we shouldn't do this. And so that's actually why we had the C-section the first time. And so we didn't know that he was sick until 24 hours after he was born. And so then we flew out to a bigger hospital and everything. And so I think, and he's perfectly fine now. You'd never know that there had been anything wrong with him. But we had such a traumatic first week with him. We were in the hospital for a week. He had EEGs. Our baby was in the NICU. And so I think the other ones, it was just like, well, hey, they're coming out, with no problems. And so it wasn't nearly as big of a deal the other 2 times. So.
Wow.
So I think that's my last picture. And also, I would like to say that I'm very proud that I did not cry. So
I teared up when I saw that photo of Corey handing me Ferris. But
See, I didn't cry at all. Shocker. I cried at no birth. I cried at none during the labor. I didn't cry till
Crying
later, and I
just
saw
came to
baby
you.
Hitler, and I'm like, oh my god.
yeah, that's when I cried, when
Hitler.
Corey handed me Ferris. So, all right,
Yeah.
Teresa, I'm ready. Let's go.
I reversed this. You guys started with the grandmothers and worked up to your children. I kind of went backwards, and I'm starting with here I am, looking like, oh, holy crap, why do I have this child?
You look like Marie
Why did I
Osmond.
birth this
Yeah,
child?
she does.
Teresa is Marie
Marie
Osmond.
Osmond in my younger days. This is baby Hitler after we'd cut his hair, because when he came out, it was like swooping down over one eye.
Oh, geez.
It was freakish. And
now, does he know that you call him this?
oh
or is
yes,
this
we
just-
have his first pictures. You know how when you have your first child, or with me it was my first. You take him and you have all these portraits done at Sears or Penny's or whatever. And my mother-in-law and I went. We bought the entire huge $500 package of everything they took, and no one ever saw them because he come home and everybody said, "Oh my God, it's Hitler," and so no one ever saw those pictures. We have them. We pull them out every once in a while.
Hey, Dustin, you better stop laughing because it could happen to you. Look how hairy you are.
I mean, he just had all this freakish hair, and I mean, and he cried constantly, and we didn't change his clothes for a week because neither of us had ever been around a child and didn't know how to change their clothes. And I thought, we're gonna break his arm, don't take his shirt off. And it took both of us to do anything. And we hadn't talked about this, but cover your ears, guys. I was gonna breastfeed every child. That was my goal. I was gonna be the natural mother, and I did. I made it through doing it all. But Max was he didn't want nothing of it. He was just a pitiful little baby at first. But I think it was because of the heavy caffeine of the last months of my pregnancy.
Oh.
I was working working and just loading up on the caffeine. Stupid me, I knew, I'm thinking when I breastfeed, I won't be able to do this, but who knew? But anyway, this is me with my first little baby. And there he is again. Oh my God.
Aww.
Okay. This is my mom. She's going to hate this picture, but she doesn't have internet or a computer or anything, so she'll never see that any of you saw it. Leah, don't tell my mother when you ever see it. This is in the kitchen that I grew up in, and there's this giant sliding glass door, and that room is so incredibly sunny, like starting at 6 o'clock in the morning. So whenever you come out of the bedrooms or wherever you were, it was like blinding. And my mom would be sitting there waiting with breakfast. And she always had little sunglasses for the kids.
Aww.
So cute.
When they come. And she always has little cups and so my mom would take these pictures with her camera, and then she'd make little photograph books and send them to us. And she put these captions on every picture. And I tried to peel them off, but she can't get them off. So anyway,
Aren't you glad though that you have those now?
Yes.
That you didn't peel them off?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, can't. Yeah, the few I tried to peel off, I ruined. But this is the kitchen I grew up in with the fireplace, and all that, and little Max. And this is the back of my mother's head with Grace and this is a closet within a closet that my father had built. When I was a kid, there was a closet that was over the stairs that led to the basement. And later on, long after I had moved, this was the first time I had seen the closet that he built within a closet. He booted it out over top of the staircase for extra storage. And my mom shoved both my kids into this closet and shut it and let them play in there. And they just thought it was the most coolest thing. And Grace, I think, took up residence in there the whole time we were visiting.
Aww.
And she just lived in that closet. And Mom would open the door and give her food and shut the door back.
Like it's like kind of like having a hamster.
Yeah. But look at Grace. I mean, she just absolutely loved living in this little closet.
And she has that gleam in her eye that she still has to this day.
I mean, yeah, that's Grace. Grace came out funky, and she's still funky, and I just love her to death. But yeah, she's an odd little child. She's still odd. Okay, this is another time we were visiting, and my mom, another one of her photo album pictures, she would sit on the floor and make these little hats out of newspapers, always doing funky things. When I was a child, my father built the house that we lived in. We moved there when I was 5, and they had this amazing pantry in the kitchen. It isn't as big now as it seemed when I was a child. And I remember it must have been winter time, or for some reason we couldn't get outside and play, because if it was nice out, she shoved us outside to play. But she helped me take all the food and all of the canned goods from the pantry and move it to my bedroom closet. Everything. We took all the stuff out of my closet and I set up a grocery store. And I would say for weeks, most of the winter, she'd have to come shopping at my store to buy food
That's adorable.
for dinner. And I remember she'd take all the books off the shelves in the living room so I could turn it into a dollhouse for my dolls. And she didn't care about the mess, you know.
I don't
Yeah.
either.
I don't either. I used to,
No.
but I don't anymore. You know, just leave it. Now Calvin is the other. He wants it all cleaned up at the end of every day, but you're going to go back to it. Let him play.
Yep.
So that's my mom. That's my dad's leg. Sitting there watching him laugh. He had a hat on too. You couldn't tell. All right, this is my parents with all three of my children. A couple years ago, obviously, sitting in front of their house, and he painted blue. It should have been brown, but he painted blue. Max looking freakishly blonde. Looks like one of Leah's kids in the future.
Yeah.
He went through a blonde phase. Once again, she'd always, both my parents.
I love that she's wearing a chorus shirt, Grace.
Oh, is she?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. But, yeah, Grace had just got done climbing the trees in the front yard. And this is one of the times I remember saying, come on, I got to get a picture. Because,
Yeah.
you don't take pictures.
No.
I mean, we didn't take a lot. And so, that's a cool. My mom was real. She always worked from the time I was far back as I can remember. And back then we had one car. My dad took it to work. And she carpooled with different people to go to her work. She worked at an Army ammunition plant and was a secretary my whole life. She was always a secretary. And then I remember the year I started high school, she started working in a department store, this department store that had been there for 150 years. And she was a secretary. And what I thought was so cool about that was I'm starting high school, she gets a discount, I'm heading to the juniors department.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I'm getting some clothes. But yeah, so cool. My mom. All right, what's the next picture? This is my grandmother. This is my mom's mom when she was younger. She was a totally different animal than my mother. She was very quiet. She cooked a lot, cooked all the time. Little short woman, probably 5'2", but very quiet, very secretive. I don't know who that little kid is above her there. Some distant kid. Might be my uncle, my great uncle. I'm not sure. But anyway, this picture to me it looks like Stella. It kind of freaks me out because Stella has kind of got that round moon pie face, and But anyway, they were country people in Missouri. She grew up in Missouri, down where Mark Twain in that whole area.
Oh,
that's cool.
okay.
That's how I know you're really from there, because you just said Missouri.
Uh-huh.
Missouri.
How else do you say it?
We say Missouri.
Really? You're wrong. It's Missouri.
No.
I've been told.
People that are from there say Missouri.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yes.
that.
That's like
Yeah.
in Pennsylvania, if you say Lancaster, they know you're a tourist. If you say Lancaster, they know you're.
Well, you do
Like
know
from-
that Missouri ends with an I,
It's
right?
Missouri, right?
Yeah.
Not an A.
Leah's right. It's Missouri. All right, this right here is my grandmother's legacy. This is Grandma's salad. I'm sure it has an official name, but it's Grandma's salad at our house. And as far back as I can remember, Easter, Christmas, whatever,
I can remember
whenever the
having
family
this,
got
yeah.
together for any reason, this was Grandma's salad. And we still make it. My sister makes it.
What's in
and
it?
I make it's like Cool Whip, Jell-O, mixed fruit. I use pecans. My sister uses walnuts. She uses cherry. I use strawberry Jell-O. It's Grandma's salad, and it's weird. The few times we've had a holiday and have not made it, it's like something's missing.
I think every grandmother makes a salad like this because my maternal grandmother, Mama Chichi, she made a salad like this, except it was green. And it's now I've learned it's called Watergate salad.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
made with like this pistachio
Okay.
pudding mix.
Yeah.
and
Good, yeah.
I don't like it. I never did.
And there's one that they make that's sort of like that they put pretzels on the. Is it
Oh,
the
yeah,
bottom?
yeah.
It's another.
My mom makes one now. It's called some sort of stained glass, and it's Jell-O, but she makes all the different colored Jell-O, like jigglers, and cuts it all up, and then throws it in. So it looks like pieces of colored glass within the
Oh,
salad.
that's
It's
cool.
beautiful.
That's cool.
But this, I can remember far back as the mid-'60s, like when I was maybe 5 or 6, and this was always at the house. That and chocolate chip cookies. My grandmother on my mom's side and my mom, big cooks, always cooking. My grandmother on my dad's side, she'd always cook the food the day before we'd come over and then reheat it. It was. I don't know why she. I think it's maybe because she wanted to be in the room when everybody was there.
Maybe.
All she had to do was pop it in the oven, reheat it, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you remember Howard Johnson's?
Yeah.
Okay. My grandmother was just an awesome cook. And back in the day, that was a high compliment if you said, this is just like going to Howard Johnson's. And then Howard Johnson sort of went downhill, and it's like, you don't want to say that. But my grandmother, I can remember for Thanksgiving coming out, and she'd cook cauliflower, and it'd come out with the perfect head. You know,
wow.
It wouldn't fall apart. It wouldn't do anything. And I'm like, I can't cook a head of cauliflower, even in the microwave, that it comes out all together.
And she didn't use a microwave.
No, she did it on the stove. But I said, all those memories. And I can remember, like my mother cooked a lot. And I know we've talked about it, that, when Pete plays the clip about I'm not a classy person, if you'd seen my parents, you'd wonder where I came from a lot of times, because my parents, they grew up, it was World War II. There's many pictures of my mother sitting there like in her dressing gown at like dinner time, and they'd have a Manhattan, and she'd have her cigarette, and she just looked so classy. And it's like, where did I come from? Because I'm like the total opposite extreme.
Yeah.
I still have their heart and their character, but it's like sometimes it's like, really?
You're your own person.
Did I grow up in this family? That to them, that was their, I guess, like how we check emails or something.
Yeah.
That was their time to relax.
Quiet
but
time.
sometimes you're like, where did that come from?
Isn't that bizarre? Leah, are you talking about going to McDonald's? My grandmother's big thing was after we'd go shopping or whatever, she'd have to go to Colonel Sanders, which is Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah.
But it was always Colonel Sanders. And I always remember just being alone with her and my grandpa. And I didn't know till later that I was the youngest grandchild of 19 grandchildren. I was the youngest. And some of her great-grandchildren are closer to my age because some of her older grandchildren are in their 70s. And, I'm at the younger end. I spent more time with my grandma than everybody else because I'd go there after school. One day I skipped school. I remember clearly in 4th grade. I went home. I told my teacher I was going to go home for lunch, and I didn't. And I went to my grandma's house. And when I came back, the teacher was waiting with a stick to beat the crap out of me because I had lied to her. Back then you could hit children. And I remember all my classmates lined up on the playground just waiting. Oh, my God. Smitty, you're going to get in trouble. Everybody called me Smitty. Smitty, oh, my God, you're going to get beat. I'm like, what? And I tried to lie my way out of it. I went home. You wouldn't go there. Your house is the other direction. And so, but it was worth it. I went home and had lunch,
Yeah, that was nice.
But I got the crap beat out of me by Miss Miller. Miss Miller hated me anyway.
Now, those are, like you and I have older kids.
Okay,
but
she's dead.
Do you say to your kids, I know I've said to my kids, that, like, you better do something for me for Mother's Day. It's the only day of the year that I ever say to my kids, I'm your mother. I do for you all year long. You must do something for me.
No, I don't.
Yes.
Your kids are still too young. Your husband's doing it, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, yesterday when I got home from the show, Finley said, I went to the mall, Mom.
Aww.
And I was like thinking she's making up this huge, she likes to make up stories, like fairy tales. And then I expected to hear that there was a scary forest and maybe a bear at the mall. And there was, I said, did you really go to the mall, Finley? And she said, with Dad and Ferris. I was like, Corey, did you take them to the mall while I was gone?
Wow.
He said, yeah. He said, but she did not know anything about what we were doing because I knew she
you
would
were
tell
shopping.
you. I guess he was shopping with them for me.
But I just, Katie will tell you to this day, she'll start apologizing about 2 weeks before Mother's Day. I haven't had the chance to do something yet. So to my kids, if you haven't done something, and it doesn't have a card.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all about the weird, freakish thing you can make me at my house.
Yeah.
And I've got some weird, freakish things that they have made, especially with the 2 other older kids that,
We have a tradition of going to the beach. My first Mother's Day ever, Corey, he said, well, what do you want to do? He's like, I could surprise you, take you to dinner, do whatever. And I was like, I'd like to go spend time with Ferris on the beach. So we went to the beach. And then every year since, that's what we do.
Yeah,
That's nice. It's a nice tradition. Leah, do you tell your children Mother's Day's coming?
I don't because they're so young. So really David's in charge of it. They normally will make me breakfast in bed, but I know about it, so I have to, kind of pretend to be asleep.
Right.
Or like wait, and he'll sort of yell ahead of them running into the room, call outs like I know, oh, they're coming. But then we always have church, and so we're always at church in the morning, and then we go to McDonald's after church. And
that's
then
so awesome.
Do something in the afternoon or something, but we don't really do anything.
Do you get a burger or do you get chicken?
We get chicken nuggets because we can get the 20-pack and split them up.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, just because.
I just wondered,
Well, I have to say I have a McDonald's memory too. And it's with my mom, Jewel, my dad's mom.
McDonald's memory.
Yeah. She used to love, usually on a Saturday, she would take all of the grandchildren, and she didn't have many that lived really close. There were four of us total, me and Douglas and Becky and David, and then once Jacob came along, which was a little later. But she would take the four of us, and we would go and have lunch with her.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, my same grandma that used to go to KFC fast forward many years, and when I was in high school, she died when I was a freshman in college. When I was in high school, my grandfather had died years ago. She'd remarried, and she was very kind of frail, and her hair had thinned, so she started wearing a wig. And I'm assuming it was a Saturday because she only went to town on Saturdays. I went with her and my mom, and we were going to eat breakfast at Woolworth's, the dime store that was there. They had a little diner, not breakfast, lunch. And I remember my mom and I were on one side of the booth, and Grandma was across from me. Love her to death. Sorry, Grandma. And I remember thinking, man, something's weird about Grandma today. She had her wig on backwards. And I'm thinking, and I nudged Mom, and Mom's like, I know. And she was hard of hearing, so she couldn't hear us. And Mom said, I know. And I'm going, well, you got to tell her. I'm not telling her.
Just go walk up behind her and twist it around.
Yeah, just twist that sucker around. Her wig was on backwards. The part was going down the back. But it was the same. I think it was the same weekend. It was the last weekend she drove. We were coming around the corner. It's old downtown Burlington, Iowa. Coming around the corner to park, and it was all parallel parking. And she clipped this woman and knocked her down. She was walking across the street. And the woman got up and, motioned she was okay. And Grandma went ahead and parked. And maybe her wig turned then. I don't know. But
wow.
But she got, I hope I'm a nice old person when I get to that point. She got kind of funky in the end. She was always sweet, but she came to live with us in the end. And she didn't like cats, and we always had cats. And she, had her cane and was trying to get the cats away from her. And I think she was too much like my mom, and they didn't, they just kind of clashed. But
see, my grandma loves being old because she said, I'm old. Nobody can say anything to me. I can say whatever I want to you. And she's very sweet. She's not saying anything mean, but she just thinks it's funny, because she'll say whatever she wants to say.
Yeah, my mom is like that. My mom is says what her personality has changed over the years. She is more vocal now. When I was a kid, she was very quiet, and she was a weeper. Yes, my mom was a weeper and still is, but not as much. My grandma was a tougher woman, but it was a different era. I mean, she grew up, in the teens and the 20s, whereas it was a different world. But where would we be without
we wouldn't be here without our moms and grandmas. Right. So I hope you guys enjoyed our show today. I very much enjoyed learning a little bit. We could. I think we could go on for hours, but we won't do that to Dustin and Craig. I'm sure they've had enough of our birth stories. So
we'll give you details later.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you again next month. And happy hump day. That's going to be my thing. See you next time.